Hello everyone, Sandy here with you today. I'm sharing a process video for My Creative Scrapbook using the limited edition kit. And as you can see on the video, I'm also using the sketch that we have for this month. I thought that would make creating a little easier on this one just by going with the characteristics of the sketch. And so I've chosen some papers and a couple of photos of a couple of the twin grandsons, and I printed it in black and white and in color. And then kind of for a third element, I'm using that little quote that you see over on the right that says play is the best way to learn. So anyway, these boys are good and dirty. And so anyway, I thought this would be a fun one to do some mixed media on and paint splatters and all that kind of thing. So I trim out my photos and use one of the 4x6 cards as my photo mat. And then I do trim it down here in a minute. And then over to the right, I'm going to use that little 3x4 approximately that I use from the laser cuts. And I wanted to go ahead and mat that on, that paper you see there in my hand so that it would, be more continuous across the page and be supported a little bit. So anyway, I trimmed that down and I put that little laser cut element on there. And then I'm going to use some distress ink to, distress my edges. This one here with Vintage Photo. And then I believe I used peeled paint on the other one. And so I did do that. This was a very long video, but I've trimmed it down to like a little over 9 minutes. But anyway, I was at this one for probably, in recording time, about an hour and 15 minutes. So anyway, I'm just kind of putting that element there on some corrugated cardboard to lift it up. You could use fun foam or whatever you like to use as far as material is concerned. But I wanted to get that up a little bit off that other card just so it would be able to, those flowers on it would be able to lay across my actual photographs and be supported by that. So anyway, I'm playing with that a little bit and looking at the florals, and I do lower it a little bit as per the sketch, just so that the flowers won't be right on top of my photograph. It'll be kind of, in the lower right-hand corner of the photograph. Because I want to see that sweet baby's face. He's good and dirty, so we're going to do a good dirty page here with some mixed media. These are the two papers that I'm choosing to layer. On the sketch, you can see there's about a 3x10 or so, a couple of elements that are layered on one another, and I wanted to use this cute paper right there that's has short phrases on it for learning, like the red bird. I forget what it says about that. Maybe it just says the dog, but any little phrases that, early readers would use. And so I do also distress those edges with some Vintage Photo ink, and I think I used the peeled paint again. But here you can just see I'm auditioning things and seeing that those flowers are going to have to go down a little bit, so, or over to the right, so they won't be on the baby's face. But I do want to add the flower over there on the left, and so I can't move my actual photographs over to the left quite so far, just because I want to add a little flower right there. And despite choosing one of the smallest ones, I still need a little bit of room for it. And there I've got a larger flower, and I do switch those out ultimately, and I pull in a third one, which is a little bit bigger. I do pull off the bottom layer of that larger one so that it won't be quite so big on the page. So here I'm just still struggling, or, taking time to figure out if I want anything beneath that element over on the right, or just, leave it as is. And I pretty much do leave it as is, although I think off camera I do add some laser cuts around it, in terms of florals florals, one-dimensional florals, and add those in with, either my glue or foam tape. But there I am, just distressing those 2 pieces of paper and getting those ready. And I do also add some corrugated cardboard underneath that. And I am going to use some mixed media, so I'm choosing my stencil that's from my stash, and then I'm going to get some clear gesso here, and I'm going to coat my page with the clear gesso so that I can use my modeling paste. And I try to get a good coating across the page, because I also know that I'm going to come back later and do some coloring around my focal area. So there I'm just showing you my clear gesso, and then I dry it on both sides of the paper, and I rub my paper on the edge of my media mat to flatten it a little bit more. And then I kind of play with it in terms of orientation, which way do I want my page to go, knowing that I'm going to do some stencil work, and just, where is everything going to be. So I'm playing around with that little bit to see if I want it to be like it's demonstrated, in the collection. So here I bring in this kind of a damask print. I couldn't choose anything else. I really like this one. It's a pretty new stencil for me, and so I wanted to use it. And so I'm getting my, I get some light and fluffy molding paste from the Crafter's Workshop. As I've noted before, I like it because it dries white. And otherwise, if you don't have that, you can add white paint to your modeling paste, so it will dry white, or another color if you want it to be a color. For black, though, I do use black gesso. So there I'm looking at those and getting ready to adhere them to the page, but I do trim them just a little bit, so you can see the background paper on the edges, kind of like you do on the actual sketch. And I like the blue paper. I thought that would coordinate well with the more peachy orangey paper. And then also it's got the airplanes on there, and these little stinkers' dad is a pilot, so I thought that it would be apropos to use airplanes on this page. And so, I'm still fiddling with that, and I think this is where I come in and cut a piece of corrugated cardboard, as I was noting before, for that paper there. And then I'm going to bring in my photographs. And as we do in scrapbooking, I audition them a number of times before I get ready to actually glue them down. I'm using the Barely glue again, and it does dry really fast or adhere really fast, and you don't have much wiggle room as far as repositioning things. Then off camera, I think I wasn't able to record, and I did add in my florals, and I added my title, and then that little piece over on the left-hand side, and got all that down. And then I want to come in with some crackling campfire color, and I'm just adding that all the way around my focal point. I spend a good bit of time on that, and then I use some water to help it spread. Over on the right hand side, I think I didn't have enough clear gesso in my background, so I do have to mess with that a little bit to get my color like I want. But here's the finished page. I finished with some splatters and some twine, and also some white splatters. So thanks for coming by. You'll find details below in the description